Hi, Marie. So glad that you're joining me.
Then thank you for this time. I'm really looking forward to this.
And I just asked you if you were familiar with my work at all. And you are, you said a little bit, right?
Yeah, I've taken a number of your pre-recorded classes where the kind of compilations where you put together a number of experts on a particular topic
Okay.
and tried to watch as much of those as I could and soak them in. So many grains of wisdom.
Oh, good. Well, it's fun to actually meet in person. We don't get that chance very often.
It's fun for me too.
So, you have a large family, and we talked a little bit beforehand, but basically, I'm just jumping in here to offer you some coaching so that other people listening can kind of get a feel for not just the concepts that I talk about and teach, but the application. Because
Yeah.
again, it's one thing to kind of intellectually know something, it's altogether something else to kind of have the language to be able to say the things you want to say to be the captain of the ship in that moment. So give us a little overview of your situation and then let's jump in with your question.
Correct. I've got five children and they are close in age. They range from 6 to 12. And two of my children are neurotypical. The other three have some version of ADHD, high functioning spectrum. We're not really quite sure about our youngest. She might just be a ball of energy. But my two high functioning or my two neurotypical kids are their executive functioning works well. And so we hear from both of them variations of that's why you should or that's why you shouldn't. And some finishing sentences might be that's why you should get up the first time mom wakes us up, or that's why you should get in the car right away, or that's why I always leave 5 extra minutes. And that's why I lay my clothes out at night. And they're wonderful. And those are qualities that we want our kids to have. But it feels a little soul crushing for the kid who is in the crux of that moment, who is not prepared, who's now facing some sort of rush crisis and is having someone else let them know that exactly why this is now happening.
Oh
So,
my
Susan, what I'm really looking for is like a catchphrase, something that I can, like a mantra that I can memorize and say again and again to redirect the conversation and to kind of put us all on an even playing field.
Nice.
Things I kind of go to after the moment are taking, I'll call them the offenders aside to say everyone's brains are wired differently. You know, these things are strengths of yours. This is so easy for you. Um, but for, this other sibling, that's hard for them. But look at the gifts that they have. This other thing is really amazing. Your brother with the
Mm,
math, it's crazy. Um, so I just need to redirect the conversation.
okay. I love it. I'm smiling ear to ear when I listen to the little parent. You know, we see this a lot with kids who have younger siblings or especially younger, significantly younger, where they mother or father or parent their younger sibling, regardless of who's on the spectrum or ADHD. It's just a way for an older child, or in your case, just a kid who functions more easily in the realm of planning and executive function, to sort of feel powerful, to feel
Mhm.
smart. So I'm always looking, Marie, at the underlying need that's being met. And in this case, is it a need for the child to not have the chaos of the morning going south the way it does when that kid doesn't lay out their clothes the night before or is late getting in the car? Are they feeling personally impacted, or do they feel like a little bit more special and powerful? Do they get something from you, or do they imagine they're going to get some kind of praise or admiration or appreciation from you? If you were to pick one of the two kids who do this and think sort of get inside their head or their skin and think, well, what is the payoff here? What would it be?
I think it would be that power that I liked when you said the little parent. Yeah, they're feeling like they have kind of moved over from the kid position to the parent position. Like, well, I'm closer to the adult because I know how these things work. Look at how well
Mm,
I'm doing life here in this one
Right, right.
particular instance. But I'll point out every time that I'm doing life well. Um, I don't know, I'd almost describe it as the when I put you down, I feel bigger.
And there's a beautiful saying, that's great. There's a great saying, some people cut off the heads of others to appear taller. So maybe the child who is both children it could apply to, but we're taking one at a time, or this, at least one of them. Maybe there's an insecurity that they walk around feeling, or they feel a little lost in the shuffle, or there's just so much going on with these other kids and their needs that this is a way for them to stand apart from the crowd. Do any of those resonate for you?
To think more about insecurity, lost in the shuffle doesn't resonate.
Okay.
Um, For one, I think my oldest is 12 and we're entering the preteen years. And so I think that trying to be that adult to say,
Yeah.
I am bigger. Now I'm in middle school. So that's very different from where you are in fourth grade.
Right, exactly. So we start by being curious just privately. We don't need to even explore this yet with our child, by imagining the answer to the question. And if you've taken my classes, it sounds like you have done some different programs with me, that you may have heard me say this important question is, why does this behavior make sense? So
Mm-hmm.
whatever the behavior is, imagine that it makes perfect sense in some way that we haven't yet discovered. And so maybe it is a way of feeling bigger, older, stronger, more powerful. Certainly, if you have a 12-year-old in middle school, I would wager that there are times when that 12-year-old doesn't feel strong and powerful and secure. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if I went to middle school, I would probably have a hard time every day feeling strong and powerful and secure, because it's just a hot
Yeah,
mess. It can be. And so
sure.
what I might then do after sort of exploring this on your own, and imagining a few possible motivations for your child doing it, because it sounds like after the fact you are having a discussion with them. Only thing I would say, and you signed up to do this, so I get to,
Mm-hmm.
share
Mm-hmm.
openly and honestly, is that like many parents, when you approach a child with left brain information, data, logical explanations, and with the hope that it will penetrate or really make a difference before you've met them in the emotional place, in the right brain, in the feelings, in the perhaps unnamed and even unnameable forces at play for that drive behavior. Until we've sort of joined them in the emotional place, the explanations like, you're really good at this, it comes easily to you. Your brother, however, isn't so strong in that area, but look at him with math, or he's amazing with animals. So that's fine to do as a step two. And in my work,
Mm-hmm.
I call it act two. And first we do act one, just like if you went to a play, you want to see the first act before you move on to the second. So some of the language I might take each child, and I would do this one-on-one, by the way, not en masse. I would take your two kids who have easier or better functioning, executive functioning, aside one at a time and say, I've noticed that sometimes when your siblings, your brother, your sister are really struggling in the morning to figure out what to wear, or they're running late, um, it looks like a part of you, and we talk a lot about parts in my membership, a part of you is maybe feeling a little like, I'd like things to settle down, or maybe a little annoyed, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe I wish things mom didn't have to like rush around the way she does. And you're
Mm-hmm.
fishing for anything that they would nod their head or say yes to. So that
Mm-hmm.
that phrase for you would, I wonder if, or I get the feeling that. And then here's where we're setting up the conversation. I haven't given you your catchphrase yet, but we're trying to
Mm-hmm.
create an openness so that your child can co-create that phrase with you. I would rather they're a part of this process because they recognize that something isn't really working all that well, than that you from the top down, being that captain, say, look, every time they do it, you say, hey, blah, da, 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 thinking
Mm-hmm.
it will stop the behavior. I'd rather us get to the root, which is always what I'm about. So I don't think there's a quick fix or a phrase or a band-aid. That's why I don't usually offer scripts, but I do think having a conversation, and we can play it out for a minute. Sweetheart,
Sure.
I noticed that this morning you were reminding your brother that if he laid his clothes out this, ahead of time the way you do, that kind of crazy, kind of chaotic stuff might not be happening so much. Did you were you hoping that it might help things along in the morning if you reminded him how you lay your clothes out?
Yes, that child would say yes.
Okay.
That is
So
what he is hoping will happen.
so you're hoping that if you remind your brother to do what you do, he might go, "That's such a great idea. I think I'll start doing that."
Mm-hmm.
Has that ever worked before, darling boy? So again, we
And
always
then he would say no.
and so this is, look at, you're laughing, I'm laughing, and this is where we lighten the vibe. We're like, we're not coming in with this heaviness. It's like, oh gosh, if only
Yeah.
reminding your brother to do what you do would work. Oh my gosh, life would be quieter at our house in the morning, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So we're on the same team. We're creating a feeling of connection and
Mm-hmm.
understanding, mutual understanding, and kind of commiserating together. I wonder how it is for you when you see your brother kind of running through the house, screaming that he can't find any pants he wants to wear. How is that for you, sweetie?
Yeah. And he would say, it's frustrating because
Yeah.
he's ready to go.
You're all ready, and there's your brother slowing everybody down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. You're so wise to kind of pinpoint what's underneath your effort to give him good advice. It's always really kind of cool when we can go, okay, what's behind this? And from what you're saying, it can be frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wonder if you would like, maybe together you and I could kind of come up with a reminder for
Mm. Okay.
when you're feeling all kind of stirred up and frustrated, like, oh my gosh, every day we go through this. Because let me give you a few choices, hun. If I were to say to you, hey, buddy, don't give your brother advice he hasn't asked for, would that be useful to you, 12-year-old?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
No, no,
No. He's got no, no.
no. We like code words in our house. We
You
have
like
lots
code
of
words. So,
like code
so
words like an inside joke. Like I'll say
nice.
something like banana.
Right. So what could we create, you and I, that would be our secret code for calming down or reassuring that part of you that's so frustrated by all the noise and all the chaos? Because that part gets to, be frustrated. It's understandable. Could we have a code word or phrase so that when I notice that you're about to do it or that you're doing it, you're giving your brother, hey, if you would only get in the car earlier, we wouldn't be so crazy late. What do you think a fun code word would be that would remind you that I understand you're frustrated? I understand, and I'm with you, hun. I'm with you that it would be kind of amazing to have a peaceful, quiet, flowing into the car, dressed and fed. That would just be this amazing. And there we are, we're not having it. What's our code word going to be? Where we kind of look at each other and we wink and we go, we're not having that kind of morning, that flowy, flowy morning, are we?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Well, I love that because it's now we're collaborating
Yeah.
and now we're connecting. Um, and there's buy-in from both, and I have captained the ship to get us to the good place. Um, and we have a way forward. So
And look, we're just taking a few minutes to have a dialogue that deserves much more time. I just want people to get a taste of a different way of looking at some of these situations. And I'm not saying from this point forward, your 12-year-old or your other child won't be giving advice to their sibling, because I don't think that this is, solves the problem
sure.
completely. But I wanted to get you thinking about it a little bit differently so that rather than what you asked for was, is there a phrase I can use? I don't think there's any phrase that you can use that will be guaranteed to get you the result you want, where that more more neurotypically developing child or the child with better executive function just restrains themselves from giving helpful hints
Mm-hmm.
to their
Mm-hmm.
siblings. I do think that the progress will happen when you acknowledge it and discuss it away from the incident itself and say, I wonder what it's like for your brother. And you could even do kind of empty chair or switch roles and have this child who's kind of got himself all together play the part of the less organized child, and you play the part of the sort of parental sibling, saying, you really should have laid your clothes out before. And then you let your, the kid acting this, role playing this with you, kind of have an experience viscerally of what it's like to
Mm-hmm.
be judged or scolded by their sibling. There's a lot of
I see.
directions we can go in here, but they all are, if they're delivered with this love and this desire for you to stay connected, as you so beautifully pointed out, they can move you even closer.
Yes, this is really great.
Any final thoughts or questions?
Oh, I can't wait for school to end so I can have some like sidebars over here.
Oh, good. Well, let me know, will you? Please just
I
try a
will.
couple of
Thanks,
these
Susan.
ideas. Thank you. I'm going to stop the. Thanks so much, Marie.